Yo, what's going on, guys? Back with another tier ranking as we head into this NFL season. And for this tier, we're going to be doing the current NFL running backs, including the rookies. I decided to pick a template that has these running backs' names because there's a lot of these young running backs that are going to be backups. And a lot of times it shows some of these dudes that are backups on other teams, and I can't differentiate who's who. And I seen this one. I like the one with the quarterbacks because it showed the person and showed their name. But I've done some tier lists before where there's like fucking 50 people, like especially with the quarterbacks and wide receivers, and some of like the deeper backup guys. I'm like I can't tell who the person is because they're so like it's so far away. So I like the thing with the names. And so we'll just get into it. This is going to be ranking S tier, S being the best, D being not so great running backs heading into this season. And I'm obviously going to do it based off like we got some rookies on here, some guys that didn't get as much playing time, guys stepping into bigger roles. Some of these players will kind of be like projected to what I think they could be, and then there's players on here who if they're good. So we'll start with this first one. Pretty sure this is Braylon Edwards, who actually is a player I really liked in college. I'm pretty sure he played for Nebraska. Super young player, drafted to the Jets. He's going to be a backup. 6'1", 230 pounds, only 20 years old, and won't turn 20 until next year. Nuts. Has all the physical tools. Not the fastest guy and not the most shifty guy, but a no-nonsense downhill runner and catch the ball a little bit. I mean, until we see him actually play, he's probably just going to be a backup. I'm just going to put him in the D spot for now. But, being only 20 years old, not a lot of mileage on him, definitely has upside. Isaiah Pacheco, in terms of effectiveness, he's an A. I don't think he's an elite running back. But in terms of, behind as good as an offensive line that he has, I think he really optimizes what they do. I think if they decided to lean on him this year a little bit more and gave him a little more touches, particularly in the passing game, he could possibly be in terms of actual production with that offensive line and scheme an S tier guy. But I don't think he has S tier skills. But I love the player. Runs like his ass is on fire. And he runs like his ass is on fire, and he thinks the only way to put it out is to go through a concrete wall. That's how hard he runs. So in terms of effectiveness in his production so far, I give Isaiah Pacheco an A. Kenneth Gainwell, he's a C player. A little bit of a scat back, can do a little bit of everything. He's actually a very solid and dependable player in crunch time in a lot of different areas of the field. He's gotten goal line touches, caught the ball out of the backfield, can run inside, outside, tough player. Kenneth Gainwell, he's a C, he's solid. Ezekiel Elliott, I think he's actually going to be solid for the Cowboys this year. Not as explosive as he was, but he's going to get a bulk of the target share signing back with the Cowboys. He's always been a true power run, one cut straight line speed guy. At one point was very explosive. Could do a little bit of catching the ball out of the backfield, and I actually thought he caught the ball well out of the backfield last year, but they're going to ask him to basically take care of first and second round duties and probably sprinkle Rico Dowdle in there on third down and stuff like that. Man, the Cowboys lost a lot of pieces. It's going to be interesting to see what they look like in the regular season here. But, you can definitely get B tier production out of Ezekiel Elliott. Travis Etienne Jr., A-tier skill, but in terms of his overall career right now, I think he's a B running back. He can catch a lot of balls out of the backfield, but until he can stay healthy fully and consistently and be more part of the, overall picture there for Jacksonville, right now, he could be an A-tier running back this year, but he's just too beat up all the time. Not really the best inside runner, in my opinion. He's more of get him out on the edge, off tackle type stuff, throwing the ball in space. So for me, he's a B tier guy. Very underrated. Rachaad White, A tier. If you go and look at how well they played last year, Rachaad White, really effective in all layers and facets of running the ball, every different type of point of attack, and he caught a lot of balls. Not the best pass blocker and things of that nature, but granted, I take that into account. Like, if you get pass block, that's a really good upside. It's underrated and important, especially in today's game. Last year, A-tier production. I expect with, aging weapons. They're probably going to lean on him a little bit more this year. I really don't think Tampa. I think Tampa will be about as good as they were last year, or maybe worse. So we'll see. Rashad White, really good running back, still young. I think he's only like 23 years old. So with a catching upside, definitely A tier. Breece Hall. So this one's a tough one. I personally think if you talk about projection and skill, Breece Hall is S tier. Has he consistently been S tier? No, but I think this year he's going to prove if he stays healthy that he's S tier. What can't he do? Long speed, 1-2 cut guy, got agility, can run with power, catches a ton of balls out of the backfield. He's just a very versatile player. His whole thing is staying healthy. So for me, I'm projecting him to be an S tier guy. Pollard has shown in the past he's had skill to be an A tier guy, but he's shown last year that right now he's more of like a B tier guy, younger than Zeke, a little more athletic and explosive right now, catch the ball in the backfield. Probably wouldn't be a bad fantasy option because you can get a bulk of the touches over there in Tennessee, but Pollard's always been a dude with a lot of upside and has just never really optimized it. So for me, he's a B tier guy. I can't remember which Gibson this is. Might have to look it up. Oh, Gibson, he played for the Commanders. I think this is Antonio Gibson. Yeah, and he plays for the Patriots now. That's why I was confused. So Antonio Gibson, it's tough. He's like a high C, fringe, low B type player. Not a really good running back. He's more of like a two-back. Like if everyone throw back to the high school days, he's more of like a two-back. He's a guy we can line him up and just get him the ball in space, catches more balls, really, does most of his best work, running out into the flat, making the first dude miss, running short routes, a lot of swing stuff, motion stuff. High C, low B tier, Gibson. Blake Corum, rookie. For me, Blake Corum right now, until he proves me otherwise, C tier. Really good running back in college. Not the best athlete, in my opinion. At least he's not a high tier running back athlete. Kind of like a well-rounded running back. So, he's going to have to fight for carries behind, some of the guys that he's got to go up against over in Los Angeles with, Williams being there and stuff like that. But, yeah, Blake Corum, he's all right. Harris, this is the one where I go back and forth on this. I'll give him a low B tier because he's shown that he's productive with the amount of snaps that he gets. But the amount of snaps and the production that he gets, the touches he gets throughout so far in his career, you think he'd be a little bit more productive, albeit the offensive line hasn't been the greatest, in my opinion. And I've said this multiple times on multiple different episodes of podcast. I try to make a distinction that I don't devalue running backs as players. If you're a good football player, you're a good football player. And in today's game, more than any other time in this game, with the way the new rules are, the game is about being accurate in finding players that you can get the ball into space and make them make plays on guys. That being said, playmaking running backs, like guys that can catch the ball and run the ball in multiple schemes, they're still valuable. But I just think that there's a lot of guys that could do what you need the running back to do. And I don't think you need to pay the running back position a lot. It's nice if you got one that can catch a lot of balls and do a lot of different things and is super versatile. There's a handful of running backs that I think for the right team are worth paying. But most of them, in my opinion, are not worth spending a lot of money on. Harris, to me, is a definition of a guy who's gotten all the touches in the world, but, he's got another guy that's just as good as him nipping at his heels in Jaylen Warren. So it's like, I just think there's a lot of running backs that could come in, and they've proved it time and time and time again. I don't feel like going through all the examples. But it's offensive line that drives the optimization of rushing. And Harris, that being said, has been pretty good in the league with bad offensive lines. But for me, I personally think he's a B tier running back. Derrick Henry, again, he's older now, and will he be good with Baltimore? Yeah, they got a good scheme and a good offensive line. It helps having a quarterback that's that fast, can run the ball. It's going to be interesting to watch him and Lamar Jackson play together. As of right now, he's A tier solely because with that offense, they're just going to ask him to, get out on the edge with those stretch off tackle run plays, hit the edge, be fast down the field, break tackles. And Lamar's going to do a lot of pulling and running underneath and stuff. And I just think the two of them will be effective together. I don't think it'll matter when you play really, really good teams because they can, do everything. Whereas this team, in my opinion, is very predicated on optimizing the rushing and the defensive side of the ball. He is very, very effective at what he does. He gets yards. He gets in the end zone. He gets dinged out of the S tier for me because he doesn't really catch a lot of balls. So I would say at this point in their career, it's probably like that. Alexander Mattison, I did not know he went to the Raiders. That's news for me. He's probably going to get a lot of touches. Madison has shown ability to be a B-tier guy. He's kind of like a little more quicker than he is powerful guy. Can catch the ball in the backfield. I'd say Alexander Madison's like a C. He's probably like right there. Rico Dowdle, similar player, just a little smaller. I don't think Rico Dowdle's that great. I mean, he shows flashes of being pretty good. Can catch the ball out of the backfield, make some dudes miss. He's an agile type of runner, multiple cuts, but until I see him get a bulk of the carries in the Cowboys offense, behind Zeke and show that he could be more than just a contributor, then, he can do some things, C tier. So obviously everyone with half a brain knows Christian McCaffrey's from an overall ability standpoint is the best running back in the league, in my opinion. He can run inside, outside. He can run with speed. He's agile. He can run every route in the book. He doesn't turn the ball over often. For most of his career, he's been healthy. Supposedly, he just got injured again, which, he had that 1 year where he was out all year, but just the ultimate Swiss Army knife in the modern NFL. One of the only players that's ever been all-pro at wide receiver and running back. They won't be as good without McCaffrey because of what he brings to the passing game, but again, if their offensive line holds up, 49ers will still be really, really good. Not as good, but they'll still be really good. But just one of the most versatile players. Dude could probably play defense too. Who the fuck knows? Kyren Williams had a A-tier campaign last year, and I want to say he missed some games. I think he projects to be probably A-tier again. I don't think Blake Corum he'll probably get the backup duties, but he won't bite into the carries too much. I think Kyren Williams has the potential to be ahead of these guys in terms of, Cooper Kupp, not what he used to be. Injuries probably won't be as quick. They're probably going to do a good blend of a more balanced attack this year if Williams can prove that he could just stay healthy the whole time. Kyren Williams can do a little bit of everything. Not the fastest guy, but has great anticipation, great patience, reads what's setting up in front of him well, and decently shifty and very strong for his size, and plays a very shifty point of attack style of, running and catch the ball out of the backfield. So Kyren Williams, A tier. Jonathan Brooks, pretty solid running back in college. Obviously one of the better running backs in college. He's going to get a lot of snaps in Carolina. I would say I'll put him in C tier somewhere up here, maybe up here with Blake Corum. Until we see him, steal a bunch of snaps from Chuba Hubbard. It's probably Chuba Hubbard's job to lose. So Brooks, well-balanced running back, do a little bit of everything. We'll see how he does. So Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is S tier, coming off a gnarly fucking injury. Catches enough balls, in my opinion, for me to keep him as an S tier player, but I just wish they would probably get him out in space and catch the ball a little bit more instead of just pounding him up the middle all the time. Had a gruesome injury last year. If there's anyone that could come back from that injury, especially with his style of play at the running back, it's him. Until I see him just fall off a cliff due to this injury, he's A tier for me. And I think it would go in this order. I just think Hall could do a little bit more in terms of skill set than him, but Hall's got to stay on the field. Khalil Herbert, Actually, an underrated player. But, until we see Khalil Herbert show that he should bolster, a bulk of the load, he's probably C-tier player, meat and potato style running back, good at a little bit of everything, not really a master at anything, not the best athlete. Better role player, but shown flashes of being a guy that can, step in and play good snaps, good minutes. So Tyler Algier. So for me, Tyler Algier proved his rookie year he's at least a B tier running back. Not doesn't get a lot of catches out of the backfield, but rookie year, 1,000 yards. Took a bulk of the snaps in a running back by committee mold and showed that he runs hard and you can get production out of him behind an underrated offensive line. And so I would say if you're Atlanta, you're sitting pretty there. If you're really going to want to, pound the pill, I think they're going to have a little more balanced of attack this year with Kirk Cousins. I think this offense has potential to be a top 10 with Algier pounding the pill and getting, those one cut, draw plays, trap plays, getting Bijan Robinson out on the edge, getting them into the pass game with the wide receivers they got to. They can be sneaky good on offense. Algier's a good player. Algier B tier. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't even think he plays much anymore. Never was a huge fan of Helaire, kind of like a guy that just, was really good and only really optimized only in specific formations like dual back sets, single back throwing sets, spread sets, stuff like that. Like stuff where, four wide receivers, shotgun single back packages and stuff like that. Can catch the ball and stuff, but he doesn't really play much anymore. Been injured a lot, all that happy shit. Miller. I want to say Miller played pretty well last year down the stretch for the New Orleans Saints. Kendre Miller. Kind of a undersized running back. I mean, he's heavy, but he's still not really the biggest back. Showed he could do some things last year. He caught the ball a handful of times out of the backfield. I think he only had 400 something all-purpose yards, but he's still a young, explosive player. You'd have to see. There's a lot of talk where they're like, oh, he's going to step into a bigger role. He's got some upside, but until I see it, Mitchell, B-tier player. I actually think that Mitchell's a little higher up here. Another guy that's, been injured a lot, but, when he was healthy, he steps right in behind whoever starts a running back for the 49ers and plays really, really well. He's played behind Raheem Mostert, behind McCaffrey. It is always showing quality snaps when he's in the game. His issue is health. I think that if he stays healthy, even if McCaffrey's out, they're still going to be able to run the ball well with Mitchell. He's actually an underrated player. He's just always beat up. Samaje Perine. I would say Perine is probably a CRT player. Perine's played for a handful of teams, but he's a really good, really well-rounded back. He can block, he can catch the ball in the backfield, run with power, get out in the open field, get down the field a little bit. Decent playmaking running back. If he starts, could he have a really good year if he starts? Sure, but, until I see him get a full snap count, he's just a really good player to layer in. Not anything like wicked crazy, just a really good solid player. I don't know who this kid is. Jalen Wright. I don't know much about Jalen Wright. Smaller running back, I do know that. Jalen Wright, he's going to be in the mix, fighting for some snaps here and there, but with the veteran Mostert and A-Chain and stuff like that, unless Mostert takes a step back, he'll probably only be a situational back, so D. Saquon Barkley, so this one's tough for me because I personally think you can call it the injuries or whatnot. People like to talk about these running backs, and me and my buddy Adam go back and forth on the running back position all the time. Again, I think you can get high-level effectiveness and production from running without having to pay running backs. It didn't make sense for the Eagles to pick up Saquon Barkley here unless you're actually going to really get him that involved in the passing attack all that much. His best year was his rookie year. He caught 90 balls that year. He shows that he's S tier. his ability shows that he's S tier, but do I think he's shown throughout his career that he's just, as good as McCaffrey, you know, or as good as, like, say, Nick Chubb was at his peak? I guess off skill set alone, he's probably S tier. So I will go off projection. They still have a really good offensive line there. They both have two Hall of Fame tackles, in my opinion. I still think they're going to be able to move the ball on the ground. I think they're going to get involved. They're going to have to layer him in the passing attack more because they're going to pass it. And Hurts is going to need those checkdowns in order to optimize a heavy pass game. So I would say Saquon Barkley's S tier. I could make the argument that because of injuries and because, production-wise, in my opinion, he hasn't lived up to what I feel most people think he was going to be and should be and is and all that stuff. But skill set alone, he has all the tools to have S-tier seasons, but I've only seen one S-tier season out of him, whereas this guy has the potential to be an S-tier guy this year, and this guy has had S-tier seasons, and this guy's had S-tier seasons, multiple. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, this contract on a better team, better offensive line. Saquon Barkley, S tier. Zach Charbonnet, never been high on Zach Charbonnet. Solid player, can make some plays. Not really the best athlete. Zach Charbonnet, C. Jahmyr Gibbs. So Jahmyr Gibbs down the stretch had S tier production last like 6 or 7 games of the year. A player that can run with speed, power, catch the ball in the backfield. So I'm going to cut the difference, and I'm going to put him in the A tier, and I think he'll be an A tier back this year. Split carries with Montgomery, who had a lot of touchdowns with himself last year. Kind of a contrasting styles, which I think is huge. Again, you don't need to pay these guys a lot of money. They paid modestly for Montgomery, who I thought was a steal for them. So they kind of got a little two-headed monster of two guys that are actually both pretty versatile in their own right. And so actually, if I project, I think Gibbs is probably going to be here this year. So Hall was okay. I think he had like 700 or 800 yards in a backfield that was like kind of just been decimated the last 2 seasons with injury. I think he's an okay player, but not really. Nothing to write home out. Not really an athletic guy. Doesn't really catch the ball out of the backfield. Rashawn Johnson, he's okay. Role player, D tier, maybe a C tier. Maybe C tier player, another guy that's just not like a high end athlete, could do a little bit of everything. Devin Singletary. I think Devin Singletary is a C tier player, a guy that's not explosive, not fast, got some decent shoot to him, can catch the ball a little bit, but one thing that helps him is he's going to get all the touches with the Giants. He's going to get a huge share of the rushing load. A guy that knows what he's doing, a savvy runner, veteran, patient runner, slow to it, blow through it. He's going to be effective. Singletary could end up B tierish on a team where he's going to get this many touches. I could see him going over all, like getting 1,000 all perp. Get in the end zone a decent clip. So like low B, high C tier running back. Dobbins, God, he's just freaking injured all the time. All the talent in the world. C tier until he proves me otherwise. The guy that, can run with some decent speed when he gets to the open field, quicker than he is fast, can catch a ball in the backfield, but, injured all the time and sits around and talks about if he wasn't injured all the time that he would be elite, all that bullshit. But until I see it, he's a C tier running back. Devin Achane. Devin Achane's going to the A tier. He averaged like 6.7 yards per carry last year and some crazy amount per touch. Only downside to Achane is he's small. He's like 5'8", 5'9", only like 180 something pounds. Not the strongest and most durable back. He's been hurt, but call it the scheme, call it what you want. A lot of it is scheme, and a lot of it is the players that they have there currently with the guys they got on the offensive lines, decent. Like, he's just really good in open space, and he's really explosive and fast. And McDonald does a good job. What the heck is his name? Is it McDonald? Who's their head coach? I see him in my head. McDaniel. McDaniel's got a great system, knows how to scheme dudes open, and obviously you have to because Tua's arm power isn't the greatest. You got to rely on putting players in positions to succeed. Anticipatory throwing and the speed of all the players really helps facilitate that. But yeah, A Chain, based off what I see last year, if he could just stay upright, he's in a system right now where he's gonna have A tier production, possibly even S tier production if things swing for him the right way. AJ Dillon, underrated player. And I want to say A.J. Dillon is a Jet now, I think. Oh, no, he's still a Green Bay Packer. So the Packers just signed one of the best running backs in the league in Jacobs. So yet again, A.J. Dillon's not going to be able to optimize or really see what his optimal role is. His role has been goal line, third down, or goal line, short yardage if they're on third down type running back. Really good athlete. Not the most straight line speed, but gets up to speed, very explosive, strong. He's big, 230 pounds, huge legs, can move a pile. Catch the ball out of the backfield a little bit if it's asked of him. He's not an up there. I would say Dillon is probably like a C, probably somewhere in this range. Could be a B guy, but he's just not going to get the opportunities because of his current situation. Joe Mixon. This is a tough one because Joe Mixon's been dinged up with injuries his whole entire career, and he's underrated. And not saying it because he's a Bengal, but the dude's averaged like 1,200 plus all-purpose yards his whole entire career. He's averaged almost 10 touchdowns most of his career. I think this offense is going to like to throw it, and I think his upside for catching the ball out of the backfield is going to be really good. I will say that he's high B tier, maybe low A tier. I think he's low A tier, but I think he's low A tier, but this team's going to spread the ball around so much. I feel like if I had to put A Chain in the low A for his projection, I feel like Mixon's floor and possible projection, he's probably a low A tier because he's better than most of these guys down here. You can probably make the argument skill-wise, ETN. Mixon for me, low A. Jonathan Taylor, if he stays healthy, is, in my opinion, he's had one really insane year. But based off how well he's played the rest of his career and the injuries, I would say he's probably right here. Low A. He's got to prove that he's an A S tier guy again. He's going to get his first full season back in a little while. But Jonathan Taylor, when he's healthy, really explosive. Bell cow back. Get him out into open space. He's got, 4-4 straight line speed. He can catch the ball backfield. He can block. He can do it all. He's just never healthy. I do not know who the hell Tracy Jr. is, so he can kick rocks. Tajay Spears, as of right now, he showed last year that he's a very versatile running back with some sneaky athleticism. I would say right now he's a C tier with potential to be B tier for the Titans. He's probably going to get the bulk of the touches for the Titans, so I'll be interested to see how that swings out. I would say that's a good spot for him. Chase Brown right now, C tier. I'll probably put him right here. Chase Brown showed flashes of being really strong and explosive at, doing a lot of different things that the Bengals offense really needs right now, which is catching the ball out of the backfield, check downs, outside perimeter runs. But I think he showed that he could run the ball a little bit between the tackles too, if you need him to. Right now, C tier, he's going to be the backup, but I actually think there's a possibility he can overtake the starting job as long as, he's upright. And I actually think there's a lot of upside there. Chase Brown, C tier as of right now with upside. Austin Eckler, B tier right now. He's been beat up. He's been getting injured a lot. I think he's going to get a lot of touches. Third down, lining up in the slot, things of that nature, change of pace back with Brian Robinson Jr. I actually think that's a really, really good veteran pickup to have on a team that's starting a rookie quarterback that's accurate. They're going to be able to check the ball down to him a lot. If he stays fully healthy, he's probably like, if he stays healthy, he's probably right there at his age, almost 30 years old, probably. His ability to run routes, catch a ball in the backfield helps him with his age. I really think he's going to be a good, sneaky good safety valve for Jaden Daniels. Chuba Hubbard, solid running back. Another one of these guys is like a meat and potatoes type running back. Can do a little bit of everything, run between the tackles, catch the ball. Not the fastest guy or the most explosive guy, but, very tough runner. Just a solid running back. Jaylen Warren. So Jaylen Warren's a B tier running back for me. I personally think that Warren could win the starting job from Harris, and I actually think he's a better football player than Harris. Really good catching the ball out of the backfield, underrated explosion, can block, can run inside, outside. I think there's a good chance he takes the starting role eventually, or do the smart thing. Unless you really think you can get Harris on a deal, keep them both would be ideal if you can get them. If you can get Harris on a shorter deal, but I think Warren will eventually be the starter. Zach Moss. So Zach Moss played really well last year at 1,000 all-purpose yards for the Colts. He's going to be starting for the Bengals this year. I would say Zach Moss is probably high tier, low B. Our offensive line's a lot better, especially now. I actually love our offensive line. We're probably going to throw the ball a little bit more because we're even more so stacked now at wide receiver. He's going to get probably a bulk of the touches unless Chase Brown supplants him. He's definitely going to get a bulk of the rushing touches. High C, low B for Zach Moss. Could potentially be like a low B guy. We're probably going to throw the ball more than we have this year, I can feel. Raheem Mostert. This is a tough one. So Mostert gets hurt a lot. But when Mostert comes into the game, he's really effective, really a savvy, high IQ runner. Understands what assignments are happening from him, just knows how to scrape off dudes blocking and get out into the field and use his speed, which is his best asset. In terms of touchdown production, he's S tier. I mean, he gets a fuck ton of touchdowns every year, but he's never healthy. I would say high. I'd say right as of the last couple seasons, he's low A tier. You just can't call it the offensive line, call it the scheme, call it what you want, but the dude gets touchdowns at an S tier level. So he might fall off a cliff, who knows? But the contrast between him and A-Chain, the running backs there, they're just in a good spot. Pierce. This one's a shame because Alec Pierce was, or it's not Alec Pierce, Dameon Pierce was one of my favorite prospects to come out of college the past handful of years. The style of running back I like. Not the fastest guy. Very patient, smart runner, slow to it, blow through it, can catch the ball, can block, can run with power, just really shifty. And he has I think it's the record for the most forced broken tackles in college football history or some shit the year he came out. Just all the statistics you want a running back to be successful in that translate to the NFL, he had it all. He's been injured, beat up, maybe not playing on the right team, but he's still young. I think he's only 23, 24 years old. Now he's probably going to be playing behind Joe Mixon. If there's a team out there that desperately needs a running back for the right price, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe try to get a flyer for Pierce. Talent-wise, I personally think he was an A-tier running back. Production-wise, he really hasn't been. So I got to put Dameon Pierce in the C tier. With B tier upside, I'd like to put him in the low B tier. But I just don't think he's going to get the touches that a lot of these guys are going to get. Ty Chandler, D tier. I don't know who Lloyd is, D tier. Benson, rookie running back for the Cardinals. He's going to get his opportunities because James Conner's 30, but James Conner was really goddamn good last year, even though he's 30 years old. Benson, I would say C tier until we see what he's got and see what type of touches he's got. Really good athlete, really good straight line speed for a bigger, larger back. He's 6'1", 230, can catch the ball a little bit. So, perfect guy to learn behind. James Conner, maybe be the running back for the future. Who is this dude? I don't know who this dude is. Running backs for the Vikings, bro. Is it Aaron Jones? No way. Aaron Jones played with so Aaron Jones, I think he's probably going to be a B-tier quarterback this year. Aaron Jones is actually a really underrated player. He's been one of the better running backs, but, Aaron Jones has been dealing with nagging injuries in his time with with the Packers, but when he's been upright and healthy, he was really effective. I mean, last year he was pretty decent. He had almost 1,000 all-purpose yards, but he didn't get in the end zone a lot. Really efficient, 4.5 yards a carry, but I think with the Vikings, he's going to get the touches and stuff, and as long as he's not too beat up, he'll probably be like B-tier production. I mean, they're going to have to lean on the running backs probably because they got a rookie quarterback. They're probably going to have to lean on a more balanced football. So since he gets the touches, it's probably like here, you know. Javonte Williams, another dude who was one of my favorite players coming out of college when he came out. All the talent in the world, can run with some speed, straight line speed, but really good patient runner, can break tackles, make dudes miss, catch a ball out of the backfield. Talent-wise, A tier. He's got to deal with P. Ryan and Estime back there in the backfield. I don't fucking know. There, maybe. Just never lived up to his potential. Way too injured, severe injuries. Jerome Ford, B tier. Jerome Ford's proved that he has all the tools to start in the NFL. Who knows what the running back room's going to look like and if they're going to ease Nick Chubb back in. But Jerome Ford has proved that he could be a starting running back in this league. And if he's going to be the starter if Chubb ain't there, so I think he could be, be potential more of a power runner than anything else. A big, strong, physical, bruising running back. Has stepped in, showed he can do some quality snaps. If he gets all the touches, he could be a B-tier running back. Estime, don't know much about him, so he's going to go into this tier. So Stevenson, I'm not giving up on Rhamondre Stevenson yet. That offense is not going to be good. They're going to probably just run the ball a lot and dump the ball out of the backfield. Stevenson, in my opinion, has a talent, skill set. He's going to get all the touches on this team with these players. So he's probably like right there. Really good player. Underrated player. Just, plays on a bad team. Can run with power. Little underrated with the speed, in my opinion. A little bit more explosive than people give him credit for. Catch ball, backfield, block. Just plays on a booty cheeks team. Zamir White has potential to. I'm gonna put him in the C tier, but he has potential because he's gonna get all of the touches over with Las Vegas. Big shoes to fill. One of the best running backs on the team, leaving your team to go someplace else. But the touch is going to be there. See what he does with it. A guy who's kind of a little more shiftier than he is powerful. Could do a little bit of everything, but decent running back. Alvin Kamara. So he'll probably go into the B tier. He's definitely not as athletic as he used to be. Still probably going to get a bunch of touches in New Orleans. But, I want to say he's 30 now. He's 29. And so last year, similar stuff, 1,000 all-purpose yards. A lot of them were catches, had a decent amount of touchdowns. But he's definitely slowing down as a player. I'll probably put him right here. High B, possibly low A if he stays healthy. Kamara's an interesting player. One of the true more recent versatile backs, especially early on with Sean Payton and the Saints. They just threw him the ball, fuck ton, and catch the ball, run inside, outside, bigger than people give him credit for. At one point, he was a really explosive player, but just, at almost 30, he's not as explosive as he used to be. So, Hill, D tier. Tank Bixby showed flashes of being a quality role-playing player. He's probably like up here somewhere. Bixby, kind of a guy that can do a little bit of everything. Not the fastest guy, but explosive power, can run the ball between the tackles, catch the ball a little bit, block. A good little supplement to ETN if he can stay healthy. And, who knows? Maybe Bixby can carve out a bigger role if ETN's not ready to go or is not healthy. So, Dalvin Cook, people are not going to like this one, but for me, Dalvin Cook is A tier. He's probably right here. People think Buffalo suck at running the football, but they're one of the most efficient rushing teams in the league. They're just very efficient at it. They just don't run it as much as other people. He averaged almost 5 yards a carry on the floor last year, caught a lot of balls, had a decent amount of touchdowns. I think this year more than ever they're going to lean on his versatility a little bit until the young guys, the young players that are going to be catching the ball through the air step up and get a little more continuity and consistency. But I actually think he's going to have a big year this year. James Cook is severely underrated and plays behind a team that their offensive line is a good pass blocking offensive line, but not the best rushing offensive line. And, with these running backs, that truly matters a lot. So, Cook, unapologetically A tier. Edwards, I do not know who that is. Let's see who he is. This shows you how much I know about running backs, because some of these rookie running backs, I don't really know them because running backs are running backs. Is that that ain't Gus Edwards, is it? Is that Gus Edwards, bro? Kidding me? Gus Edwards, bro? Dude, get this shit out of here, bro. Gus Edwards, C. He's a decently effective goal line running back. I always thought, the reason why I was confused, I thought Gus Edwards was with the Ravens. Gus Edwards, not that athletic, power runner, decent goal line back. You see. DeAndre Swift has A tier skills, but I would say he's probably B tier. A guy that struggles to stay healthy, doesn't really run much with power, but he's pretty explosive, athletic, can catch the ball out of the backfield. Under the right circumstances of the right team, he's more than capable of having A tier. Possibly, if things break right for him and he's healthy, S tier production. But I'd have to see. He's played with Chicago now. They got a lot of different mouths to feed there on the floor and through the air. DeAndre Swift, B tier. Montgomery. So in terms of production, Montgomery the past couple years has probably been a high B, low A tier. I would say he's B tier. I think they're going to give Gibbs a higher share of the workload in terms of stats in general. Montgomery's still going to get a lot of goal line touches. He had a lot of touchdowns last year, and he's actually an underrated running back. It doesn't turn the ball over, runs through the A gaps, B gaps with a lot of power. Not a really speedy guy, but can catch the ball a little bit. Just a really good player. James Conner, in terms of production, when he's healthy, is A tier. I would say he's the skill set, his overall skill set, in my opinion, and lack of athleticism that these dudes have, kind of pushes him down. But his production on a bad team with an offensive line has been A tier. But I think this year, I'm going to go very, very high B tier for James Conner. Really good player, really productive, just not that explosive, doesn't have that straight line speed, not really going to get out onto the edge and take shit downfield. He's always going to get tackled. He just doesn't have that explosiveness and athleticism to get it up and take things that other running backs can take into big plays. You can't really take him there. But underrated pass catcher, can block a little bit. Connor's just a really good player. B. Sanders proved that, even behind decent offensive lines, you could play well as a mid-tier running back like always. But he went to Carolina and got the bulk of the target share, albeit a bad line. And I just never seen a dude take a nosedive. I mean, he's got talent, but I don't know. Sanders probably fucking up here somewhere. Who knows? Carolina, they suck. Sanders, a guy that could do a little bit of everything. Not the best athlete. Kind of runs a little more power. Could catch the ball a little bit. But who the frig is Irving? Bucky Irving, a Bucks player. I do not know him. Goodbye. Bijan Robinson, to me, is S tier. He proved last year in terms of his overall skill set and his production, catching the ball and running the ball. He was S tier. The only thing is he didn't get in the touchdown enough, he didn't get in the end zone enough, and there's a lot of weird shit going on. There was 2 or 3 games where they barely played him, and they never said he was hurt or not. And then there was the game he didn't play the whole game, and then he was yeah, I'll go in at the end of the game or some shit, and then he ran for a touchdown on his first touch. It's odd. I think he's S tier talent, and I think he's going to prove that he's an S tier player this year. Just a really explosive, really versatile running back. Can do a little bit of everything. Catch a ball in the backfield, home run hitter. Just everything you want in a running back. If I shuffled these up, Nick Chubb coming off the injury is probably going to put him here. I personally think Bijan Robinson's going to have a better year than Saquon Barkley, so I'll probably put it like that. I think Hall's going to have a really good year. Jacobs, another S tier running back, probably going to look like this, maybe like this. I don't know, but Josh Jacobs, I wouldn't say he has elite tier speed, but enough speed to hit some home run plays, can catch a ball in the backfield, can run the ball with power and explosiveness in any type of scheme. Had one really good year and another good year. Got paid to come over here to play for, the Packers. Some people would say that that's what they need, but I thought the Packers were really good last year. I thought they were decent at running the ball last year, even with dudes banged up, and they're just really good at throwing the ball. Do I think this makes them that much better? It might. It might. I'd have to go look and see his contract, see how much they paid him. Again, I think that they were really good last year with or without an elite running back, but he's definitely an elite running back. I think it'll make them. I definitely think it'll make them a little bit better if they decide to play that balanced attack. I think it'll help until they figure out who their number one wide receiver is and start spamming it to him. But yeah, Jacobs, elite, S tier. So Robinson, I think, is actually Brian Robinson Jr. I think is a really underrated running back. But he's a very one dimensional running back. I'm going to put him in the B tier, probably like there. Really tough nose, strong, explosive in the short yardage running back. Doesn't turn the ball over. Doesn't really catch the ball much out of the backfield. You definitely need to get a guy, to come in and, be the third down back, catch balls out of the backfield, things of that nature. Great story. He got shot or some shit his rookie year and then still showed up and played. Some wild shit. Solid player. B tier. So this guy is one of the biggest question marks to be. Kenneth Walker has shown at times he has S tier ability, but he keeps getting nicked up in his seasons, keeps dealing with nagging injuries. I think they're going to lean on that this year with some of their weapons in the passing game getting a little bit older, and I think if he can have a healthy year, I think he could be an A tier production guy, possibly like somewhere in that range. Yeah, and I don't really think Seattle's going to be really world beaters. I think they're going to run the ball a lot and then just hug and chuck football down the field, DK Metcalf and shit. Maybe we'll get to see little Sammy Howells doing Lord's work out there. But yeah, this is my running back tier list. There's a lot of guys down at the bottom, some of these rookie running backs. 'Cause I'll be honest with you, I don't really pay as much attention to the running back position until they're really good. But I know what to look for in a running back. I know how to tell if one's good or not. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. And there's actually more quality running backs, in my opinion, right now than there has been in a little while. Like if you even look at the C tier, a lot of good guys. If you give the target share, Moss, Singletary, Pierce, Spears, Williams if he's healthy, P. Ryan. There's a lot of guys, even in the C tier, that could give you a lot of quality reps behind the right offensive line. Can get in the end zone, make some things happen. So that's my tier for the running backs. Hope you guys like it. Adam, get in there and get in there and tell me how wrong my list is. Tell me things about my list that I should know about my list, and tell me where to put these running backs, son. Love all you guys. Later.